Hey folks, back again with another vlog. This is Steven Universe Season 2, episodes 13 and 14, I think. Which I think is 61 and 62 in the other numbering. I don't know anymore. It's Shile Teed and Cry for Help. Both excellent episodes. Let's jump right in with Shile Teed. I found the name interesting. I couldn't quite figure it out. I decided to see if it was an anagram of anything interesting. I couldn't find anything. It's nothing backwards. I Googled it, and the only thing I found was somebody asking on Reddit what it meant, and somebody telling them that it's Norwegian for time to chill, which I guess is sort of related to the episode, in that that's what Steven wants them all to do, is get some rest and have a slumber party in the midst of their search for Malachite, who has a name now. I don't think they named her before. The fusion of Jasper and Lapis. Which is being framed interestingly. There definitely seems to be something of playing up fusions for horror this season, or at least making them a little uneasy after they were presented as being pretty much straightforwardly good in the first season. I mean, there was that issue with, I'm blanking on what the fusion of Amethyst and Garnet is called. But that fusion nope. Can't remember what it's called. Anyway, that fusion, had issues with getting a little bit out of control, but that was kind of a one-off deal. It was presented more as kind of a hazard of fusing than as something's fundamentally wrong with fusing. Otherwise, it was just presented as a cool thing that gems could do. It was equated with love in the finale, so on and so forth. This season, it's being complicated a bit. We had those things that Peridot was experimenting with. You had now in Shile Teed, we get what I can only assume is Steven entering the mindscape of Malachite and finding Lapis and Jasper in there, and it's kind of horrifying. Lapis, as usual, is in enormous distress. Suffering kind of seems to be her bag. And she is, if I understood what she's saying correctly, she is using her control over water to crush Malachite to the ocean floor with the full weight of the ocean, which is kind of horrifying. And Jasper is trapped in there and full of rage. It's an ugly situation for those two. And it, at least in Lapis's perception, she is constantly on the verge of losing control. I can definitely see why Garnet was making the warnings she was making. But to be honest, that was almost the less interesting part of the episode. I mean, that's obviously the part that ties in with the larger plot, but if you guys have been watching these for a while, you probably know I tend to be less interested in the larger plot than I am in theme and character. And what I really liked about the episode was, first, how it continued this show's occasional forays into dream imagery, which it handles really, really well. I think I commented on this, like, seeing Dogcopter reminded me, I think I commented on this in a past episode where Dogcopter showed up. I think that may have been Lion 2, the movie. That sounds right, because it involved Lion and it involved going to a movie. Anyway, this show does like dream imagery and dream logic and that kind of thing really well when it does it, which is not often. And it was, again, in this episode, it was really well done. the weird sitcominess of Steven's dream, the way his dream kept segueing into like that same nightmare scenario of being trapped with Lapis. Oh god, that first image of Lapis when she's like got the water pouring out of her eyes and mouth, that was creepy. As I record this, I just watched all of Giant Robo yesterday, so that I could write an essay on the first 2 episodes that I was commissioned to do. And there was some like imagery in there that reminded me of that. Like Giant Robo is clearly hydraulic, at least in part. It's constantly hissing steam and stuff. And they did this thing where when it was damaged, like the water it used in the hydraulic system would escape through its eyes and look like it was just like water streaming out of its eyes like it was crying. And it reminded me of that, but way more horrifying. You know, there's something about just like, I don't know, it was almost like I could see a horror movie using the same image, just replacing the blue with red, so it's blood. Like, it was a freaky, freaky image. And then when he keeps going, you know, when he goes into the mindscape, when the fusion shouts at him to leave, that's well done nightmare, where it's like hard to really explain what the menace is, but it is nonetheless menacing. Well done. Really well done. And then Pearl's dream was amazing. Pearl's clearly, I mean, we've known this for a while. Pearl's got serious issues surrounding Rose and the loss of Rose and jealousy of Greg. And Rose transforming into Greg and then, like, pizza oozing out of her mouth. Because remember, Pearl, I seem to recall we established in past episodes that, like, Pearl finds eating kind of gross. Amethyst loves it. Pearl doesn't. Which makes sense, because she doesn't need to do it, and it's messy. So, like, pizza's... Like pizza coming out of people's mouths, especially Greg's mouth, is kind of horrifying for her. I also liked the way that, like, they were surfing together on a pizza as well, of course, but stationary, like frozen in a moment, which I feel is very much what Pearl kind of wants, is she has this past moment she wants to go back to. Because Pearl's got some real issues, and I feel like those have been more and more explored this season. That's been another ongoing theme. And we see that, clever transition time, we see that very much in Cry for Help. Because look at the title, right there. On a literal level, it's talking about Peridot's message that she sent out. But not really. Really, it's Pearl who's making the cry for help. Pearl, Amethyst and Pearl both almost say that they want to be, that they like fusing with Garnet because it makes them feel powerful, because she's so much more powerful than they are. And Pearl makes a comment about it being fun, which is interesting because she responded almost with horror to the idea of having fun at a slumber party in the previous episode. She did. But here she is, like, saying she did it because it was fun, but I think really what it was about was feeling powerful. I think a lot of issues have been bubbling up for Pearl, and I think she's feeling a little bit out of control. And I think she wants to feel powerful and becomes almost a little bit addicted to fusing and becoming Sardonyx, who is awesome. I think Sardonyx might be my favorite fusion so far. Nope. I snapped because I thought I remembered the name of the fusion of Garnet and Amethyst, but no, pretty sure Opal is Pearl and Amethyst. Darn. Anyway, and I don't think it's just power either, because remember, Garnet has commented repeatedly on how she's made of love, and we've been seeing a lot how much Pearl is missing Rose and wishing that she had that kind of relationship with Rose, and so I think also immersing herself in that love probably is a way of escape and sort of a substitution for the person she really wants to fuse with and can't anymore. Which actually raises the interesting question of whether Steven can fuse with the other pearls, with the other gems, like Pearl, and what would happen if he did. Regardless, it's pretty messed up what Pearl does, and there's been a couple episodes recently, Shillelagh Teed among them, where I feel like the show has kind of run afoul of its 11-minute time slot. I feel like episodes just kind of stop. They open up something really interesting and then just end. And it doesn't, at least not immediately, get explored further. Like, they seem to have completely abandoned the search for Lapis between Shillelagh Teed and Cry for Help. Now, it's entirely possibly because the show isn't really that strongly serialized. It's, stuff kind of weaves in and out, but it's not, an ongoing story from episode to episode that always picks up where the previous one left off or anything like that. But honestly, it could just be that Steven told him Lapis doesn't want to be found right now. That she's, they may have decided to kind of pull back on the search because they're afraid of disrupting her efforts to control Malachite. Regardless, it's also possible that they're just taking a break from searching for her while they try to figure out what to do next, and then the Peridot thing happens. Who knows? The point is, Pearl is feeling powerless, feeling alone, I think, and she kind of retreats into fusion. But Garnet understandably sees that as an enormous betrayal, because of course she does. Fusing is the essence of who she is, and heavily sexualized. Like, I think the dance between Garnet and Pearl might be the most sexual one we've had yet, even more so than Garnet and Amethyst. And, I say sexualized, but it's in a very... It's interesting because while the fusion is sexualized, the characters themselves never are. Which is what, a fine line to walk, and it's well done. But the point is, Sorry, train of thought just went poof. It's a little bit like someone lying to their lover. Garnet feels betrayed, because a fusion is an act of trust. It's an act of intimacy. And Pearl has abused that for her own, for her own feelings. Very selfishly. And so it's understandable that, Garnet is furious. And, she has every right to be, and Pearl really messed up. And so, unlike those previous episodes where I feel like they just kind of stopped without exploring things, like Shillelagh Teed, can't remember the title, but the one where they discovered Peridot's horrible fusion experiments. Here, I think, ending unresolved, it really makes sense, because I feel like this is not something that gets settled in 11 minutes. I feel like this is something that is kind of going to hang between those two for a while. So I imagine that it's going to be addressed in a later episode. Or that, even if it's not directly addressed, that the relationship between Pearl and Garnet will be a little bit distant for a while. Regardless, it was really good stuff. Continue to really enjoy this series. And I will continue watching soon. See y'all with the next vlog. Bye.